Cyber Threat Brief for June 10, 2026. Microsoft patches 206 vulnerabilities in the largest Patch Tuesday on record, including 3 0 days. VM releases emergency fix for critical backup server remote code execution. Cisco SDWAN faces 7th actively exploited 0-day this year, with no patch available. Chrome patches 5th exploited 0-day of 2026. Checkpoint VPN added to CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, known exploited vulnerabilities catalog with 3-day federal deadline. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Cybersecurity Brief June 10, 2026. Next section, Critical Alerts. VM Backup and Replication Remote Code Execution, CVE 2026-44963. VM patched a critical remote code execution flaw affecting domain-joined backup servers. Any domain user with low privileges can exploit CVE 2026-44963 to gain RCE on VM backup and replication 12.3.2.4465 and all earlier version 12 builds. The vulnerability only impacts installations joined to a Windows domain, a common but discouraged configuration. Ransomware gangs including Akira, Fog, and Frag have previously weaponized VM flaws. While no active exploitation is reported, VM warns attackers will reverse engineer the patch immediately. Action: upgrade to version 12.3.2.4854 or migrate to version 13X, which has architectural changes that prevent this flaw. Review domain membership of backup servers and isolate them according to VM best practices. Ransomware gangs target VM to steal data, move laterally, and delete backups. Sources: Bleeping Computer, The Hacker News. Cisco SDWAN 0-day, CVE 2026-20245. Cisco SDWAN Manager has an actively exploited 0-day with no patch or workaround available. CVE 2026-20245 is a command injection flaw allowing authenticated or local attackers to execute commands as root. Exploitation requires valid credentials or privileged access, typically achieved by chaining with or both previously disclosed Cisco 0-days. Mandiant discovered the flaw. Cisco observed limited cases where exploitation resulted in configuration changes pushed to edge devices. This is the 7th actively exploited 0-day affecting Cisco SDWANs this year. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, added to the KEV known exploited vulnerabilities catalog with a June 23 deadline, and 3 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action: upgrade to fixed software released in May for CVE 2026-20182 as a protective measure. Review Cisco-provided indicators of compromise, but note that the same log entries may occur during standard operations. Contact Cisco TAC for help distinguishing legitimate from malicious activity. A patch is coming on a future date with no timeline provided. Sources: Cyberscoop CISA. Checkpoint VPN RCE, CVE 2026-50751. CISA ordered federal agencies to patch a critical checkpoint remote access VPN and mobile access authentication bypass exploited by Killin ransomware affiliates. CVE 2026-50751 allows unauthenticated remote attackers to bypass authentication and establish a VPN connection. CIS, a KEV due date, is June 11, 3 days. EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring system, scores 0.177, 95th percentile, and ransomware-linked flag confirm active targeting. Action: federal agencies must patch by June 11. All organizations running Checkpoint remote access VPN or mobile access should apply vendor patches immediately. Killin ransomware is actively exploiting this flaw as a 0-day. Source: data breaches. Net. Chrome V8 0-day, CVE 2026-11645. Google patched the 5th actively exploited Chrome 0-day of 2026. CVE 2026-11645 is an out-of-bounds memory access vulnerability in V8, Chrome's JavaScript and WebAssembly engine, with a CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, score of 8. 8. A remote attacker can execute arbitrary code inside a sandbox via a crafted HTML page. Researcher 303F06E3 received a $55,000 bug bounty. Google confirmed exploit exists in the wild, but provided no additional details. CIS added CVE 2026-11645 to the KEV catalog with a June 23 deadline. Action: Update Chrome to version 149.0.7827.102/103 for Windows/Mac OS or 149.0.7827.102 for Linux. Chromium-based browsers, Edge, Brave, Opera, Vivaldi, need updates as well. This is the 5th Chrome Zero Day this year. CVE 2026-2441 were the others, and 3 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Sources: The Hacker News CISA. Next section, Windows/Active Directory Security. Microsoft June 2026 Patch Tuesday. 206 vulnerabilities. Microsoft released 206 patches in the largest Patch Tuesday on record, including 32 critical vulnerabilities and 3 publicly disclosed 0 days. This exceeds the previous record of 175 CVEs set in October 2025. Microsoft VP Tom Gallagher warned last month that AI tools are accelerating vulnerability discovery, and releases of this scale will become the norm. The current 2026 total already exceeds the entire 2018 total. Additionally, Microsoft patched 360 Chromium/Edge vulnerabilities this month, excluded from the official count. 3 0 days fixed today, none actively exploited. CVE 2026-45586. Privilege Escalation in Windows Collaborative Translation Framework, CTFMon, allowing low-privilege local attackers to gain system permissions. Publicly disclosed by Nightmare Eclipse as Green Plasma. CVSS 7.8, Exploitation rated more likely. CVE 2026-50507. BitLocker security feature bypass, allowing unauthenticated attackers with physical access to view encrypted data on Windows 11 and Server 2022/2025. Publicly disclosed as Yellow Key. CVSS 6.8, Proof of Concept exists, exploitation rated more likely. CVE 2026-49160, HTTP/2 denial of service vulnerability in HTTP. SIS, exploiting HPAC compression to create a compression bomb that consumes excessive memory. Publicly disclosed as HTTP/2 bomb by researchers at Calif. CVSS 7.5. Microsoft added a new max headers count registry setting to limit header counts in HTTP/2 and HTTP/3 requests. Critical vulnerabilities flagged as more likely to be exploited. CVE 2026-47291, RCE in Windows HTTP. SIS due to integer overflow and heap-based buffer overflow, CVSS 9.8. Unauthenticated remote attackers can send a specially crafted packet to trigger exploitation. Systems using the default max request bytes registry value of 16,384 bytes are not impacted. Pre-patch mitigation. Set max request bytes to no higher than 65,534 bytes. CVE 2026-42985. RCE in remote desktop client due to heap-based buffer overflow, CVSS 8.1. Unauthorized attacker can execute code over a network. CVE 2026-44803 and CVE 2026-44812. RCE in Windows graphics component due to integer overflow in Win32K GRFX subsystem, both CVSS 7.8. Local exploitation. CVE 2026-45657. RCE in Windows kernel due to use after free and heap-based buffer overflow, CVSS 9.8. Unauthenticated remote attackers can send specially crafted network traffic to trigger a flaw in TCP/IP processing, enabling system-level code execution without authentication. CVE 2026-44815. RCE in Windows DHCP client service, CVSS 9.8. Unauthenticated remote attackers can achieve full compromise without user interaction, potentially wormable. Runs on virtually every Windows endpoint. Additional critical vulnerabilities. CVE 2026-45607. RCE in Windows Hyper-V due to out-of-bounds reads. Authenticated attacker on a guest VM can send specially crafted file operation requests to hardware resources, resulting in RCE on the host server, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. CVE 2026-42987. RCE in Windows Deployment Services due to use after free, CVSS 8.1. CVE 2026-48574. RCE in Windows Media due to heap-based buffer overflow. CVE 2026-47288. RCE in Windows Kerberos KDC due to integer overflow. Authorized attacker can execute code over an adjacent network. CVE 2026-26142, RCE in Nuance PowerScribe due to deserialization of untrusted data, CVSS 9.8. Nuance PowerScribe is a radiology reporting platform widely used in healthcare. Unauthenticated remote exploitation. Other notable vulnerabilities: CVE 2026-45648, stack-based buffer overflow in Active Directory domain services. Requires authentication, Microsoft considers exploit development unlikely. CVE 2026-50508, NTLM spoofing vulnerability, allowing unauthorized attackers to perform spoofing over a network. CVE 2026-45469, Excel RCE due to integer underflow. CVE 2026-45467, SharePoint server cross-site scripting spoofing vulnerability. CVE 2026-47292, Visual Studio Code MS SQL extension RCE allowing unauthorized attackers to elevate privileges locally. CVE 2026-32193, Azure Kubernetes Service AKS, RCE due to path traversal. Authorized attacker can execute code locally. CVE 2026-41108, Windows DNS client heap-based buffer overflow allowing privilege escalation. CVE 2026-45485, Microsoft Office out-of-bounds read information disclosure. CVE 2026-45602, Windows DHCP tampering vulnerability. Known issues: BitLocker recovery prompts may trigger on some systems after installing updates. Affects devices with group policy, explicitly including PCR7 in the TPM validation profile, and certain secure boot/Windows Boot Manager configurations related to Windows UEFI CA 2023 certificate. Temporary workaround: remove the group policy setting and suspend/resume BitLocker to regenerate default PCR bindings. Action: deploy June 2026 patches immediately, prioritizing internet-facing servers, HTTP. SIS, DHCP, Kerberos KDC, Hyper-V hosts, and domain controllers. For HTTP, SIS pre-patch mitigation, set max request bytes to 65,534 bytes or lower. Test BitLocker configurations before deploying to avoid recovery prompts. Prioritize CVE 2026-47291, HTTP. SIS RCE, CVSS 9.8, and CVE 2026-44815, DHCP Client RCE, CVSS 9.8, as both are potentially wormable. Sources: Bleeping Computer, Talos, Cyberscoop, CrowdStrike, Dark Reading, Sans ISC Krebs on security. Microsoft Defender Rogue Planet Zero-Day Nightmare. Eclipse released another Microsoft Defender Zero-Day Hours after June Patch Tuesday. Rogue Planet exploit is a race condition allowing attackers to spawn a command prompt with system privileges on fully patched Windows 10 and Windows 11, including systems with KB 5,094,126 installed. ThreatLocker confirmed the exploit works against fully patched Windows 11. The researcher says Rogue Planet was originally a remote code execution vulnerability, exploiting Defender's handling of files on remote SMB, small and medium business, shares, but Microsoft silently hardened Defender in mid-May by patching Mpension. SysEO*, a PI. The researcher rewrote it as a local privilege escalation. This is part of an ongoing dispute with Microsoft over vulnerability disclosure practices. Nightmare Eclipse has released multiple Zero Days, Blue Hammer, Red Sun, Green Plasma, Yellow Key, and plans a bone-shattering drop on July 14. Action: monitor for Microsoft patch on next Patch Tuesday or out-of-band update. Organizations using application allow listing can block the exploit. Watch for July 14 disclosure. No official fix available yet. Sources: Bleeping Computer, Ars Technica. Microsoft Exchange Ghost Center spoofing InfoGuard disclosed a spoofing vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange configurations using Exchange Online or on-premises in hybrid mode with a third-party mail server or spam filter as the MX record. Attackers can send emails from any user, internal or external, to vulnerable organizations, bypassing SBF, DKIM, and DMARC policies. For internal senders, Outlook resolves the sender's profile picture. Attackers can send fake bills from official billing emails or conduct phishing using the CEO's actual email address. InfoGuard says fewer than half of organizations with external-facing MX records have mitigations applied. Microsoft deployed and rolled back a mitigation, and support confirmed active abuse. By default, Exchange Online accepts any incoming emails if an external MX record is used. No CVE or common vulnerabilities and exposures assigned. Microsoft closed the initial report as a non-MSRC case. Action. Organizations using Exchange Online or on-premises Exchange and hybrid mode with third-party MX records should set up a partner organization connector with IP or certificate-based validation, or create a mail flow rule quarantining emails where the XMS Exchange organization auth as header is not set to internal, and where the IP address does not belong to expected sources. Disable the direct send feature to protect against internal spoofing. Test mitigations using InfoGuard's provided testing tool. Source: dark reading. Windows 10 kilobytes 5,094,127 extended security update. Microsoft released Windows 10 kilobytes 5,094,127 extended security update fixing June 2026 Patch Tuesday vulnerabilities. The update includes new functionality to monitor the rollout of updated secure boot certificates, replacing those expiring this month. Windows 10 will be updated to build 19,045, 7,417, and Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC 2021 to build 19,044, 7,417. The update enables dynamic status reporting for secure boot states in Windows Security app, adds limit secure boot required service data policy setting, and includes high-confidence device targeting data for automatic secure boot certificate rollout. Known issue: BitLocker recovery prompts on devices with specific group policy and secure boot configurations. Action. Install KB 5,094,127 on Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC or ESU enrolled systems via Windows Update. Review BitLocker group policy settings including PCR7 in TPM validation profiles to avoid recovery prompts. Source: Bleeping Computer. Windows 11 kilobytes 5,094,126 and KB 5,093,998 updates. Microsoft released cumulative updates for Windows 11 25H2/24H2, KB 5,094,126, and 23H2, KB 5,093,998. Build numbers changed to 26,200.8457, 25H2, 26,100, 8,457, 24H2, and 22,631, 7,079, 23H2. New features include shared audio, Bluetooth Low audio broadcast for two people to listen simultaneously, improved magnifier with screen reader announcements and protected content support, task manager NPU usage visibility and app container isolation column, multi-app camera and basic camera mode with group policy support, and custom user folder names during Windows setup. Action. Install updates via Windows Update or Microsoft Update Catalog. Mandatory due to June 2026 Patch Tuesday security fixes. Source: Bleeping Computer. Microsoft AI Activity Investigation Playbook. Microsoft published an investigator playbook for reconstructing AI activity involving Microsoft 365 Copilot and Azure AI services. The playbook uses telemetry across Microsoft Purview, Defender, and Sentinel to investigate prompt injection attempts, unexpected data access, and anomalous usage patterns. The methodology follows a scope context signal sequence, identifying who interacted with AI systems, what resources were accessed, and evaluating detection signals. The playbook covers schema references, KQL queries, detection logic, and extends to agent-based systems. Available at Action. Download the playbook if your organization uses Microsoft 365 Copilot or Azure AI services. Incorporate AI activity reconstruction into incident response procedures. Review AI telemetry configuration in Purview, Defender, and Sentinel. Source: Microsoft Security Blog. Next section: Business and Infrastructure Threats. WinRAR exploitation in Ukraine. Russia-aligned groups EarthDAHU, Gamerden, and ShadowEarth 066, UX0226 continue exploiting CVE 2025-8088, a WinRAR path traversal flaw patched in July 2025 to target Ukrainian organizations. The vulnerability allows attackers to write files outside the extraction directory via NTFS alternate data streams. ShadowEarth 066 uses crafted RAR archives with decoy PDFs and hidden ADS payloads to deliver gifted crook information stealer. Payloads placed in the startup folder execute automatically on login, launching a PowerShell loader that performs in-memory DLL, dynamic link library, loading. Gifted crook targets passwords and cookies from Chromium browsers and Firefox, plus documents. Exfiltration shifted from Telegram to dedicated command and control servers after Russia blocked Telegram in February. EarthDAHU uses HTRVB script infection chains delivering espionage modules including GammaFish, GammaLoad, and GammaSteal. The vulnerability chain remained active through at least April 10, 2026. EPSS score 0.116, 94th percentile. CIS a KEV due date was September 2, 2025. Action: update WinRAR to versions released after July 2025. Block RAR archives from untrusted sources. Monitor for LNK files in startup folders and unusual PowerShell activity. Unmanaged software keeps this exploited entry point open long after the fix ships. Source: The Hacker News. GitHub/Microsoft repository, compromise, miasma/Shai Hulud. Microsoft temporarily removed 73 repositories across Azure, Microsoft, Azure Samples, and Microsoft Docs organizations on GitHub on June 5 due to potential malicious content from a miasma/Shai Hulud supply chain campaign. The incident was contained in 105 seconds. The repositories were restored after review, though some remain offline. Microsoft notified a small number of customers who may have pulled down content. The compromise included the Durable Task Python package, previously compromised in May, and Azure Functions Action, causing workflow outages. The attack targeted AI coding tools, Claude Code, Gemini CLI, VS Code Cursor. The worm initially struck at Red Hat Cloud Services NPM namespace by compromising a Red Hat employee's GitHub account, pushing unreviewed orphan commits with workflows requesting GitHub's OIK tokens, then pivoting to Microsoft resources. New PyP iWave, 23 packages, includes bioinformatics libraries, AI/MCP-themed packages, and typesquats, rsquests, tlask, rlask. The latest cluster uses new payload delivery mechanisms, Trojanized native, ABI3, so extensions executing on import, and PTH startup hook loaders searching sys. Path for index. JS payload separately from the package. Malware targets developer workstations and CI/CD environments, harvesting secrets from GitHub, NPM, PyPI, RubyGems, JFrog, CircleCI, Anthropic, Oz, GCP, Azure, Kubernetes, Docker, Vault, SSH keys, shell histories. N-files, Claude/MCP configurations, and local credentials. Exfiltration occurs to public GitHub repositories. Action: lock project dependencies with hash pinning. Add multi-day delays before fetching new package updates. Test new builds on isolated environments. Audit dependencies for unexpected PTH files, ABI3, so extensions or bun runtime downloads. Review GitHub repositories for orphan commits requesting OIK tokens. Scan for compromised packages. Dreamgen 1.8.1, Embiggen 0.11.97, and Smolin 0.8.101, GC 0.9.14, InstructorMCP 1.15.2/1.15.3, Langchain Core MCP 1.4.2/1.4.3, Mem 86.0.1, and Flux Streamlit 0.0.3/0.0.4, OpenIMCP 2.41.1/2.41.2, Orchestra 8 Platform 3.3.2, Fenipacket Store Toolkit 0.1.7, PPKT2 Synergy 0.1.1, PyFatools 0.9.120, RayMCP Server 0.2.1, rlask 3.1.7, rsquests 2.34.3, TikToken MCP 0.13.1/0.13.2, tlask 3.1.4, plus others listed in article. Sources: Bleeping Computer, The Hacker News. Hades PyPI attack, 37 malicious packages. A new miasma-related attack wave called Hades compromised 37 malicious wheel artifacts across 19 packages in PyPI. The compromised releases shipped setup. PTH files that execute automatically during Python startup, download the Bun JavaScript runtime, and run an obfuscated JavaScript payload, index.js. The stealer harvests secrets from GitHub, NPM, PyPI, RubyGems, JFrog, CircleCI, Anthropic, Oz, GCP, Azure, Kubernetes, Docker, Vault, SSH keys, shell histories, N-files, npmrc, PyPerk, Claude/MCP configurations, and other credentials. Exfiltration goes to public GitHub repositories with descriptions Hades the End for the Damned and Hades the End for the Damned. The campaign includes a cluster targeting computational biology, bioinformatics, and genotype-phenotype analysis packages using obfuscated single-line import hooks in init py files. The payload checks for Russian locale before executing. Affected packages: Brahmin 0.0.2/0.0.3/0.0.4, CMD2Funk 0.2.2/0.2.3, Coolbox 0.4.1/0.4.2, Dynamo Release 1.5.4, Executor Engine 0.3.4/0.3.5, Executor HTTP 0.1.3/0.1.4, Funkdisk 0.2.2/0.2.3, Magic 0.6.8/0.6.4, 0.6.9, MedGKI 0.4.4/0.4.5, MRBios 0.1.1/0.1.2, NaPoReuFish 0.2/0.3, Nuckbox 0.1.2/0.1.3, Akite 0.0.7/0.0.8, Pantheon Agent 0.6.1/0.6.2, Pantheon Toolset 0.5.5/0.5.6, Spadio Release 1.1.2, Synago 0.1.1/0.1.2, UFish 0.1.2/0.1.3, Uprobe 0.1.3/0.1.4, plus Bioinformatics Cluster. Embiggen 0.11.97, and Smolin 0.8.101, GC 0.9.14, Mflux Streamlit 0.0.3/0.0.4, NHMPY 2.4.7, PPKT2 Synergy 0.1.1, PyFATools 0.9.120. Action: scan Python environments for PTH files executing on startup, lock dependencies with hash pinning, audit for unexpected bun runtime downloads or index, JS payloads. The asterisk setup. PTH mechanism is the Python equivalent of NPM install hook attacks, executing before application code is reviewed. Source: The Hacker News. Next section, patch priority. VM backup and replication. CVE 2026-44963, CVSS 9.4, domain joined servers vulnerable to RCE by any domain user. Ransomware gangs target VM. Upgrade to 12.3.2.4854 or version 13. X. Microsoft Windows, 206 vulnerabilities including 32 critical. Prioritize CVE 2026-47291, HTTP. SysRCE, CVSS 9.8, DHCP Client RCE, CVSS 9.8, Kernel RCE, CVSS 9.8, /Graphics RCE, CVSS 7.8, and 4 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Chrome, CVE 2026-11645, V8 0 day, CVSS 8.8, 5th exploited Chrome 0 day of 2026. Update to 149.0.7827.102/103. Cisco SD-WAN, CVE 2026-20245. Command injection 0 day, no patch available. Upgrade to May CVE 2026-20182, fix software as protective measure. Checkpoint VPN, CVE 2026-50751, authentication bypass RCE, CIS a KEV due June 11. Killin ransomware actively exploiting. Next section, vulnerability disclosures. CIS a KEV additions, June 9, CIS added 3 vulnerabilities to the known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. CVE 2026-7473, Arista Extensible Operating System Incomplete Comparison Vulnerability. EPSS 0.0, 9th percentile. Federal agencies must remediate by June 23. CVE 2026-11645, Google Chromium V8 out-of-bounds read and write, Chrome 0 day. EPSS 0.1, 24th percentile. Federal agencies must remediate by June 23. CVE 2026-20245, Cisco Catalyst SDWAN Manager improper encoding or escaping of output command injection. EPSS 0.1, 24th percentile. Federal agencies must remediate by June 23. Source: CISA. ICS, Industrial Control Systems, Patch Tuesday Siemens published 4 advisories covering authenticated command execution, information disclosure, privilege escalation, and password exposure in SINIC INS. DOS and potential code execution in Cyprotec 5. Sensitive information exposure in WinCC Certificate Manager. And CVE 2025-15467, Open SSL RCE, EPSS 0.29 87th percentile, in Scalance, Symatic, Synamics, SINIC, and other products. Schneider Electric published 3 advisories covering DOS and command execution in PowerLogic P7, credential exposure in EasyLogic T150 and SATL DP-RTU/controller, and information disclosure in EcoStruxure IT Data Center Expert. Phoenix Contact disclosed unauthenticated log download vulnerability in Charks SEC3 XXX charging controller firmware. CISA published 2 Siemens Kako Blue Planet inverters advisories, CRC16-based technical service credential derivation from serial number, and SQL injection in Kako Meteor Server. Both EPSS 0.0, 7th percentile. Fixes available for some models, no fix plan for others, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action: review vendor advisories for affected ICS/SCADA systems. Prioritize internet-facing or critical infrastructure systems. Apply patches where available. Sources: Security Week CIS ICS Advisory. Next section, Trends and Context. AI-accelerated vulnerability discovery is the new normal. Microsoft's 206 CVEs exceed the entire 2018 total, and researchers say 100-plus CVE Patch Tuesdays are now baseline. Attackers are weaponizing supply chain access at scale, with Miasma/Shai-Hulud/Hades campaigns targeting developer workstations and CI/CD pipelines through PyPI, NPM, and GitHub. Russia-aligned groups exploit year-old WinRAR flaws against Ukraine. Cisco faces its 7th SDWAN 0-day this year with no end in sight. That concludes today's Cyber Threat Brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.